So I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself because Speak Up is pretty small right now. It's me and a couple of my board members are over there, and there's a bunch of people here that set all this up, and so I can't take any credit for it other than saying, yeah, this is a cool place. But I have a great team of volunteers, but right now Speak Up is pretty small, and I want you to get to know just a little bit of my story. So if you're prone to want to support what we're doing, you might think that I'm an okay guy to support. But I'll tell you just how I got to this point. Have you ever been at a place where maybe you weren't quite satisfied in your work, or you were working and it was a decent job, but there was something more inside of you that it wasn't really drawing on, or maybe you're just bored, or maybe you're unemployed, any one of those categories? Well, I was a mix of all of those in the fall of 2001. So like any person who's kind of depressed or confused, you go for comfort food, right? So I went to In-N-Out one Saturday. This is fall of 2001. And I worked as a campus pastor up in Washington, and I worked for an inner city organization here doing great stuff all over the world, sending teams to do community development. But I reached a point where I knew that wasn't exactly what I personally wanted to do. And I was kind of lost and kind of struggling. And so I went to In-N-Out, and I was having my double-double there. And I was reading the book of the Proverbs, and something I'd probably read a bunch of times before. And I read some quote from a queen talking to her son. And these are the words that inspired me. It says, "Speak up for those who can't speak for themselves, for the rights of all who are destitute. Speak up and judge fairly. Defend the rights of the poor and needy." And have you ever had a moment where maybe you've read a book you've read a few times, or a quote you've heard before strikes you in a new way? When I read that quote, those verses, it just put a fire inside of me, and I said, I don't know what job that is, but I want that to be my job. To speak up for people who can't speak for themselves. And I'm not always the most talkative person, but I like talking. I sometimes kind of like arguing, or when there's some injustice, I like saying something about it. And I read those verses, and I said, that's going to be my job description. So eventually I decided, well, if that's the job is being a lawyer. And I know all the bad lawyer jokes, and I know there's a few lawyer friends here, and hopefully, if nothing else is accomplished through Speak Up, I can redeem the vision of what it means to be a lawyer. But what I can do as a lawyer is not just be the grassroots guy, but being grassroots connected to organizations that are serving women in prostitution, or that are connected with kids that are sexually exploited, or that know the groups whose land is being stolen. I can partner with them and say, I'm a lawyer, and my Thai lawyers that work with me, because we're going to work in Thailand, together we can not only be nice people to help you, but we can access power in the legal system to help you, and possibly bring the forces of justice to do something to help you out. So I went to law school, and some of the most powerful things that led me to want to start Speak Up were my experiences in India and in Thailand. And I went to Thailand in the summer of 2003 as a law student, and I did some undercover work. We're an organization where I went into a brothel posing as a sex tourist. Because unfortunately, when I go around Thailand, I look just like many men who are there to purchase young women or children in the sex industry. So I went into this place in a scene that I'll never forget. A long bench where there's perhaps 10 or 12 of these young Burmese girls sitting one after the other, and kind of playing the part, trying to get it in my undercover camera on film. I went and talked with each of them to get their name and even to get a picture of them to see how old they might look. And one after the other, even though I couldn't speak to them in Thai or Burmese, just saying a few words, it was obvious that these were children. Young girls whose bodies were barely developed. These are young girls from Burma fleeing their own country who'd been brought against their will into Thailand, where they're being forced into prostitution. Thankfully, some of that has been challenged and changed in that part of northern Thailand. But that's the kind of thing that exists in many other countries, including India, where I went later. And I went in India into a few of these brothels with the same kind of thing, and found places where you could very, very easily ask for young girls, and they'd provide them for you. And this, even though not all of human trafficking or not all of slavery is quite so dramatic, it's true that this is happening right today. Even though much of it isn't for minors, much of it is older women. There are many, many countries around the world, and it's not just foreign men who are going to do this, but I saw it firsthand. And I remember the first time I left Thailand, I said, this is a country I'm going to come back to and do something about this. Now, to be fair, Thailand's an incredible country, and I hope that one day all the sex tourists will be arrested or won't go there, and all my friends will go there so we can help Thailand's economy and visit Thailand for the right reason. So be clear that I love Thailand and I love India, and I'm going to go live in Thailand for a while. But Thailand, India, even our own country, many, many places where the justice system needs to change to help these kind of people in overt, incredible, dehumanizing slavery. And during law school, I saw those things and I thought, that's going to be my job one day to do something about it. And then so I went to law school, and I had trouble finding an organization that would want to hire a guy that was about 10 years older than the normal law school graduate. They all wanted me to be an intern, and I said, I got to pay my bills. And eventually I said, I'm going to start Speak Up because I'm going to create an organization that does exactly what I want to do. And that's to provide legal advocacy going into some of these dark places, and with people's support, freeing people from captivity or restoring people's land rights and redeeming what it means to be a lawyer.